hand the meeting over to you.
Okay. Call order. Sergeant at Arms, you want to lead us that Pledge of Allegiance again?
Oh, sure. Okay, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Hurst,
Here in Wolverine Lake.
Nye,
Here, Wolverine Lake.
Snyder,
Here at Wolverine Lake.
Duff,
Here in Wolverine Lake.
All righty. Agenda additions. I see Paul on here, so I think we need to add Paul to the agenda somewhere. Maybe under new business. We'll put him under B,
Okay.
if you guys are okay with that. Any other changes, amendments to the agenda?
No.
We'll move to accept the change.
All right, so move.
I'll do a second.
Roll call. Anna, you're on mute.
muted. Hurst,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
All righty. Approval of the minutes. Boy, we talked a lot last time. Our hand takes a lot of good notes because it was long, but I didn't see anything in there in particular to be changed. Does anybody have any changes to the minutes or approve as is?
No.
No, they were good.
I move we approve it. Minutes is written.
I second that.
It will be in a minute.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Hurst,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Nye.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, call to the public. I see a phone number on here. That might be Mike. I'm not sure.
This is Michelle Morello. I don't know if you guys can see me. I tried to call. I didn't know how to do it.
No, we can't see you, but you certainly, Michelle, you're certainly welcome to speak. So you need to probably identify, your residence and welcome to the meeting.
Thank you. So I live at 2566 Marchar Drive. My name is Michelle Morello, and so we're pretty much right next to the police station. And we were just inquiring about hooking up to the city water. I know the three houses across the street from us have it, and I wasn't sure if we'd be able to hook up in there. So I just wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were.
You have called the right place.
Yes, you have.
Awesome.
I'd have to, now, on our website, there's an eligibility map that that you can look and see if your address is there. It's indicated in color. Some of the streets, if I'm trying to remember if Marchar, part of Marchar is connected or is along the lake, and most of the homes,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The three houses that back up to it are hooked up, closer to Glengarry.
Okay.
Oh, ma'am, you're talking about hooking up to city water?
No, city sewer.
Yeah.
Water or
city
sewer?
water.
You said water.
Water.
Oh, that's not being offered.
We don't have anything to do with that part of it.
No.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I heard sewer. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. I wasn't sure if there was any way at all, because I was been told by a few neighbors, like, if you have enough neighbors that they'd be willing to offer it to you guys, to us, to get rid of the well water. So that's why I just figured up to call you guys and see.
Call the village office?
They wouldn't let me. I did call the village office, and they wouldn't let me call, get through to anybody because they instantly said no. So I was just curious as to why not, if it's directly across the street from me.
Well, I
You
think
should-
what you're looking at is people hooking up to sewer.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's got water.
I'm certain they do because there was an issue probably almost 10 years ago with the 3 houses that are hooked up. They actually paid for it. The city did because years ago there was some issue with, I don't know, contamination or something that was in their backyards.
Yeah, I heard that because I'm on city water, and it's just our community well was contaminated. So my street and the street one over, we're all on city water. And we have been the whole time I've lived here.
Yeah, so I was just curious because I've heard, so it's the 3 houses right on Marchar that literally back right up to the police station. And we're directly across the street, so I wasn't from those 3 people, so I wasn't sure if there was a possibility to tap in or not.
Wait, I'm sorry. What side you're across the street from the police station?
No, we're right next to it. I can see the police station out my front window.
Okay, and you're.
So Go ahead.
No, I'm just trying. I'm sorry. I missed what street you were on and where you are.
Okay, so I'm on Marchar Drive, which is, if you are taking South Commerce to Glengarry, you would turn left onto my street before you hit the police station.
Okay.
So I'm right across the street from the baseball fields. And if I look out my front window, I can see the police station. I'm right next door.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure either, but I can ask our neighbors, since all of us are on city water, just how they went about doing it and just see.
Okay, because I was told, I tried calling the city, I called the village probably a few months ago, and the lady up front instantly said, no, it's not possible. So then I was told to come to the village meeting and see what you guys had to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Kathy, the Marchar is between the party store and the village hall on the lakeside.
Okay. Yeah, I was just trying to envision it because when she said across the street from the police station, I was thinking on the other side of Glengarry for a minute.
Yeah.
Which I think that's Commerce, not Wolverine Lake.
So literally.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah. Okay. So
she
I was
probably
just
looks out her
confused
back,
for a
looks out her front or back window into the village hall. So, over that fence.
Right.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Hold on. My husband is on council, and he just told me to have you call Commerce Township.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think they're the ones who own the water main.
Okay, so just call Commerce Township and see what they say then with our address.
Right, because
okay.
in most of our taxes we pay to Commerce Township anyways.
Right.
So
that's why I just wasn't sure, Okay.
No, that's fine. I mean, I get it. It's confusing and it's hard to sometimes get the right answer. I would say call them. And see
go
if
from
that
there.
helps you at all. And they might be able to tell you what's possible and what's not.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, I truly appreciate your time.
Yep, no problem.
Thank you.
Thanks
All
for
right.
calling in.
I honestly don't know the left and right limits of water, so. I heard sewer. I was thinking sewer. Okay, I think that might be everything with the public.
I think there might be one more number.
Okay,
So the caller at ending in 9623, if you would like to address the board, please dial *9 at this moment to raise your hand.
Thought that was Ms. Morello.
Oh, that was the same one? All right. Then that was the last caller.
Okay. And if you're still on there, if you don't get satisfaction, call in next month and we'll continue to pursue this for you. Okay. I think that might be all the public, so we can move on to new business. Just out of curiosity, before we start talking to Rob, Paul, are you out there?
Which one?
Yes,
Paul
Hausler.
Progressive.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so we're gonna talk to Paul. We're gonna talk to Robert first, and then we'll get on to you. Okay. I assume
All right,
you have
I'm
something
here.
to report to us.
Yes, it won't take long. It's just Doug went with me on the survey today. I was just gonna give you a brief update of what we found. So it shouldn't take more than about 5-10 minutes.
Okay, so tell you what, Robert, if you don't mind, we'll go to Paul first, and then you can listen in on that. I'm glad you called in, Paul, because I wanted to talk about something else anyway. But go ahead.
Okay. All right. Do I have the ability to share a screen or?
There should be a button down at the bottom of
Oh
your
yeah, I
screen
see
that
it
says
now.
share screen.
Okay. So is everybody seeing a survey map?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So right now I haven't had time to do an official treatment map, but I'm just going to kind of explain to you the areas that are slated for treatment. We're probably looking at, I'm going to send the maps out tonight to Aquaweed, and I suspect they'll notify the village and probably notice either this Friday or Monday, and then treat either Monday or Tuesday next week, depending on the weather. But just to kind of start at the access site and go counterclockwise around the lake. The lake looked really good overall. Things are a little slow right now. The water temp is about 57. So there's not a lot of crazy growth going on right now. We did find down near the mouth of the channel here, this channel looked really good. The water level's down looked about 4 to 5 inches below summer level. I don't know if that correlates with the official telemetric reading or not, but that's what it looked like eyeballing it. But there was no algae, no plant growth in this whole channel here. We did find a little bit of milfoil and curly leaf just on this side of that channel, and then a little bit down in this near point 23 here. Again, these are really small amounts. Then if you popping down to the lower map, continuing along the shoreline there, again, in this bay, we found a little bit of curly leaf pondweed, which is an invasive. And then over in this bay here near the beach, we found some more. And then back in this little cove, which right now is only about 8 inches deep, but we did find some curly leaf in there. And then the biggest spot we found on the whole lake as far as any growth was down here near Benstein Road, where that inlet is. Basically from this corner all the way up to point 42 and going anywhere from 50 feet from shore out to a couple 100 feet from shore. There was a lot of curly leaf right in there. So we'll have them treat that. This channel looked really good. No algae, nothing. Going down into Penny Arm. That screen is a little, let me move. Yep, here we go. So Penny Arm, there was a little growth of curly leaf starting about 0.67 over to around 69, and then again from about 0.76 up to 78. And then we found kind of a mix of milfoil and curly leaf in this corner up in here between 82 and 84 at the mouth of that channel. And then we didn't see anything else until we had a little bit of algae in this area of the lake between about points 93 and 97. This whole bay here had quite a bit of algae. What appears to be happening is we're seeing a lot of northwest winds the past few days, and it appears to be blowing the algae into these, I would call them west facing coves. So that theme will kind of reappear later in my notes here. But so, and then down in the channel area, the only real growth we saw of plants was down in this little cove between 102 and 105, and it had some curly leaf pondweed in there. And then we found milfoil along this whole long channel between 117 and 113. And then the rest of it, there was some algae growing. It wasn't nearly as bad as last year. I don't know if you remember last year, we had that major hydrodictin bloom in the channel that we had to treat with a different type of algicide. I'm proposing that we use Sea Clear in this area, which is a kind of a longer term algae control. It also polishes the water. It has an elemental binding agent called lanthanum, which binds phosphorus, and phosphorus is the nutrient that drives algae growth. So it basically strips the water of phosphorus. So not only does it have an algicide, it's always also preventing new algae from growing. Now, it doesn't last forever. It only lasts probably a week or two, but it does slow down the period between algae treatments that you need to do in a situation like that. Mike, I think I saw your name, Mike Hurst, I'm addressing here. I think I saw your name on some of those Zoom webinars last week. Were you at the?
I listened to I sat in through some of them. I kind of got mixed up with work there, but
oh yeah, no problem.
I talked to you about one of those when you get done.
Yep. But one of the products they were talking about was lanthanum at one of the talks. So we can, I explained that too in the report that we did for the channel. That was one of the option was more of a higher dose of lanthanum, which is a Foslock treatment. So we talk about that a little too. But right now, the bottom line is the channels look a lot better than they did last year. Appear to be off to a good start. And then again, at the very east end of the lake, there was a lot of algae buildup in this cove over here. And then the very tail end, there was curly leaf at this channel at 136 and 137. And then up in here in this cove, there was quite a bit of algae. Also had a lot of chara, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but there was filamentous algae in there too, and we do want to address that. And then the same thing, these northwest facing coves with the wind were driving algae back against these shores. So both of these areas too would need to be treated for algae. And then we found a little bit of curly leaf just south of the bridge there along the shoreline. But overall, the lake looked really good. Most of the plant growth that we did see was native plants, which is good. The harvester likely will be busy this year, if everything goes well. So that's kind of the plan for next week. It's going to be a fairly small treatment, small scale. Shouldn't really affect that many people with the water only being 57 degrees, other than maybe some crazy teenagers and others might be in the water. But other than that, I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of people in the water for next week or so. So any questions on the survey today? Did that kind of cover it, Doug, or?
No, it sounds good. No, it's in
Okay.
good shape so far.
Okay,
So Paul, a couple things. In one of those calls, when I think they were talking about Foslock, they also talk about those bags you could put in the
yes.
Greenaway drain. And you have any experience with that? And would that?
No, in fact, when I talked to one of the engineers about that at our office, we have probably a half dozen civil engineers at our office, and he was saying he was concerned, he looked at those and he was concerned about them being able to handle high flows like a storm surge. And he said they would be fine over if it was a continuous flow situation, but he was concerned about a storm surge would probably just either move those or go past them so fast that the absorption capacity of the bags would be minimal at that point. That was his concern with it. So I guess
Okay.
Given the situation there, it might work. That would be my caution to maybe investigate what that looks like during a storm. If the flow is significant, excuse me, or if it's just more of a gradual flow.
So one of our goals this year and probably next year as well is to really work on the lake chemistry and work on the water quality, trying to stop or reverse the eutrophic process.
Right.
And obviously phosphates is a big part of that. So is that part of your scope of work in your mind, or do we need to do an extra on top of that?
Well, we're working with a lake up in Gladwin. They're doing a small scale Foslock treatment, but we had it set up for them to collect money. They have a special assessment district that just passed this past year. And we knew that it was going to cost a little more than what they wanted to earmark in any given year. So they're taking 2 years of this line item money for one treatment. So they're gathering information in 2021 and then applying for the permit to do the treatment in 2022. So we're going to gain some insight in that project. We do have some people that have worked with it that we can talk to about that. And the CPRO folks directly too. But I'm always a little leery about talking with the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I'd rather have a third party get their opinion on it. But
well, one of the things, and one of these things we want to get into is just a general overall lake chemistry, study and/or a long-term goal is to reduce our bad things and increase the good things. So stay tuned to that because, we now have a transponder in the lake. We may want to down the road, I don't know, put a second one in down by the Greenaway drain, and we could collect data at our point source.
Yeah, that might be good if you're looking into something like those Utrisorb bags. That would be good.
But I'm just saying that stay tuned for that. We'll it's one of the things that we may be looking for you for some additional assistance because I know we kind of bounce around depending on how you look at the numbers between the two trophic states, and we certainly want to not have that trend upwards. So but anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about. But
all right. I'll write that down in my notes.
Okay. While you're here, do you have an inkling of when you'd be coming back to a meeting, or I can't remember?
Yeah, so I was planning on attending the June meeting because I'd have more to report at that point.
Okay.
But yeah, I can kind of look into that Foslock thing and maybe give you an update on that. As far as, are you looking for like a projected cost or just a type of?
Well, first of all, appropriateness to our lake. Will it net us a gain that what's worth it. And of course, then
Right.
the pricing of it. I think that we have a point source of pollution pretty much. And so addressing that point source makes it easier, I think, for us, right?
Right.
Because if there's anything coming in this lake besides what's coming in through the ducks, in geese and swans, it's probably coming for the Greenaway drain. I don't think we're getting a lot of pollution from, or maybe we are, from water runoff of the roads. But anyway, all those things we really want to look into. So,
Okay. Yeah, I think you want to investigate probably to pinpoint, like you said, where your major source of inputs are coming from.
okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Does anybody have anything else for Paul? All right. Thank you, Paul.
All right.
Now we're going to get
Thanks
on
for
to
having
the
me.
exciting stuff. Thank you, Paul. All right. Rob, you go by Rob, Robert, Bob?
Rob is fine.
Rob is fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Appreciate your interest, and we all appreciate your interest in the board. I think you're the guy that goes by my house with a buoy behind him, right?
That's me. I'm the
I
swimmer.
admire your work.
That's why I'm so interested in the lake health, because I probably drink a fair share of it in the summer.
Well, yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I don't get in our lake, but that's just me. Paul, we need to go through a little bit of a interview process, if you will. It's pretty relaxed. How about giving us a little background on you and then your interest in the lake in particular, and if you have any particular interest on the water board. What you just saw was a report back in from our limnologist, who we contract with to track all of the chemicals, all the chemistry of the lake, as well as the aquatic plant population, aka
What's the name of Paul's organization?
AE Progressive. They're very highly touted organization. And apparently they're like one of 3 companies that can actually do what we need to be done on our lake that are
good,
registered or certified or whatever. But he does a lot of work for us. In fact, he just got done doing a canal muck study on where we're looking at muck reduction and what can be done there. So it's very, very, very active with our board, provides us with a lot of good service. Yeah. And so anyway, that's what Paul was doing. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest.
Right. So thank you for letting me join the meeting today. So I've lived here for about 2 years. We bought this place. We're at 585 Laguna, just 3 houses down from Paul. And my first exposure to the lake was almost 18, maybe 20 years ago. My wife has some college friends who live down in the Penny Lake area, Artie and Tushar Amin. And when I was in a little bit better shape, I used to do triathlons, and we lived in Plymouth at the time. And I used to come up here on the weekends and do my swims. So I spent a lot of time swimming in this lake. And we have 3 daughters that are now in college, and 2 that just graduated, 2 that are graduated. But we moved a couple years ago, and I've always loved this lake. I travel a lot for work, so I need close airport access. So this made a really convenient lake to consider. But I do spend a lot of time in the water. I wish I would have done this 20 years ago, but I swim probably 5 days a week in the summer. I row, when the weather gets cold, on the 2 extremes of that. And then I was never a hockey player until this year. So I played a lot of hockey on the lake, and I love it. I really love it. I love everything about it. And I was always interested in what the actual health of this lake really is, especially since I'm so intimately involved with it. So as Paul, I think, mentioned to you, I did take the Intro to Lakes course at MSU, which, doesn't make me an expert by any means, but it piqued my interest. And I thought if there was any way that I could get involved in serving somehow to whether it's, you know, a board member or just helping the board, the group or whatever that might be. I really was hopeful that I could have an opportunity to do that. I'm actually a pharmacist by training. I got a doctorate in pharmacy, and then I did a postdoc in drug discovery, and I've always been in the pharmaceutical industry on the hematology and cancer research side. So I travel quite a bit for work when COVID doesn't have the effect that it did over my travel plans in the last year. But sort of a science background, you know, chemistry was always a big thing, organic chemistry, medicinal chemistry. And I thought that if there's anything I could do to help the board out, and I guess I can't translate pharmaceutical science over to lake science, but I am intrigued with science in general. And
You might be surprised.
what's that? But taking the course, you know, it piqued my interest even further, and I thought if there's something that I could do to help out, you know, and what limited background I really have in lake ecology, I'd certainly like to do that. So.
All right, well, we as a board have kind of gravitated toward our own little niches, and so you know, if you saw a niche in your future, what would it be? I mean, we are responsible for the health, the safety, and the recreation of the lake. That's our charter.
Right.
And so we spend a lot of money on chemicals. We spend a lot of money on weed harvesting. We spend a lot of time and well-spent money with our limnologist.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do other things like lighted buoys, and
yeah.
You know, we just got the transponder put in.
Mm-hmm.
We deal with the concerns of the community as they come up, although we've been doing a pretty good job of keeping ahead of those. Our biggest concerns are usually about the aquatic plants. Some might call them weeds.
Yeah.
So if, you know, Kathy has been focusing on our canal study, and she's going to be working, she's also going to be working with clean boat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mike is a doctorate. What are you, Mike? A doctorate candidate?
Not quite.
Not quite. Well, anyway, he's a smart guy, and he's into fish population and all that.
I went back to get a doctorate at 51. That'll tell you how smart I am.
Good for you. That's good. Hey, better late than never.
You know, Paul's working. His passion right now is the sewer SAD. I've been thinking about erosion, and now I'm thinking about other things that have to do with shoreline beautification and restoration. So we all kind of, Doug's been dealing with the birds and the boats and goose roundup and all that. So we all kind of gravitated. Did I miss anybody? We all kind of gravitated to sort of our thing. What's that?
Ryan, he's dealing with aerators.
Yeah, he's kind of our weed guy. He's also, I mean, weed harvester guy. He also was the lead on putting the telemetry in. He's passionate about getting he's really passionate about improving our website content, which I think is a really good thing for us to have, and wants to look at using QR posts to actually have people being able to scan in and check out, you know, things like where can they fish, where can they go to road endings, things like that. So we kind of all kind of move into that realm. So where do you think your passion is?
Well, like I said, I probably drank my fair share of the lake over the last 2 years. So, you know, the health of the lake from a chemical component standpoint, from pollutants, that's something that interests me. I do also have an interest, you know, especially after taking the course, which made it even a little bit more interest, is, you know, the shoreline ecology. I don't know. I'd be really curious as how we can do that with everybody having a seawall. I mean, we can't ask everybody to tear down a seawall and plant natural grasses, obviously. But if there's anything I could do to help with furthering some of the studies in that, or the research, or, you know, just researching things with other experts to bring information back to the group, I'd be more than happy to do that. I do a lot of research, and I read a lot of research papers, and although it hasn't been relative to lake ecology, more human anatomy and physiology and oncology, I still have that scientific interest, and if there's anything I could do in that capacity, I'd love to do it. However, if you've got experts that are doing that stuff already, I'm very willing to lend a hand wherever I can, just to be involved.
I don't think anybody's an expert here, but
Well, relative to a guy who's just starting out in this whole foray, yeah, you're compared to me, you're all experts at this point. So,
I have 20 years of experience with aquatic ecology, and I don't consider myself an expert. So,
yeah,
lakes are going to do what lakes are going to do.
Yeah, but if we can minimize the damage that we as humans do to them, that's a good thing. And if we can implement some preventive strategies to, if at best we keep it at bay at where it's at from the negative standpoint, great. But if we can do something to improve it, that's even better. So
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah. Mike Hurst, do you know you're muted?
No, I did not. I'm sitting here talking to myself. So Rob, there's plenty of room for that, because there's so many things that can be done. We are really blessed with the fact that we are well organized as a village. We're relatively well organized as a board, and we have funding sources, which a lot of lakes don't have. So if we go about our business properly, we can usually get what we need when it comes to funding, as long as we have a goal. And one of the things that we've talked about is this chemistry, and how you really can't reverse it. You can slow it down. And certainly, I've been listening to some conferences where they start talking about legacy, and it would be good for us to have a legacy on this lake, because we have inherited a pretty well managed lake to this point, and we just want to make sure we keep it that way, and also maybe improve it based on technology. So
right.
I think your heart's in the right spot. There's we just had our budget meeting, and we put in a placeholder for an extra study in the lake shoreline restoration / whatever. And so we want to put that, we want to put some funding, at least tell the board, the council, that we have that funding. We want to earmark some of that funding for this kind of effort. Just so you know,
I mean, that's a big ask, I guess, of people who aren't, in the same mind frame. I mean, what sort of things in terms of shoreline improvements are you envisioning?
Well, I came out of that. I went to the MLSA, MLSA conference a couple of years ago. Came back all fired up to be a shoreline steward, until I realized there's no damn way that we're going to qualify because of all of our seawalls and everything else. So I actually was thinking about going back and, can you come up with a separate category for, very, very developed lakes, because there's no way we're going to qualify for any of this.
Yeah.
So fast forward, what else do we have? What other opportunities do we have to improve the lake? Yeah. We have the chemistry itself, and we're kind of lucky because we have pretty much point source of pollution. That's the Greenway drain. And then we also now have telemetry on one end of the lake, which is interesting, because if we put telemetry at the other end of the lake, we could have input output kind of readings. And the third thing we have is a whole bunch of road endings and subdivision lots that we can maybe impact. So that's kind of where we're going, is what can we do with that, if at all, to improve. Hang on, I've got a visiting puppy. I apologize. So that, we understand. I understand. We understand there's limits, and maybe there's something else out there. But we're this telemetry system we put in is expandable. We can add um, oxygen, we can add phosphorus, turbidity. Now the sensors aren't cheap, but they're, the system's already in, it's just an add-on.
Yeah.
And those sensors then can be linked to another station down in the future, maybe at the other end of the lake. So we have, not only do we have that, but we also have Paul taking readings every quarter, every 3 or 4 times a year on the lake. So we have I'll send it to you. We have a track of all of the stuff that you saw in the MSU thing. And all those graphs, we have all that.
Yeah.
And we're bouncing between eutrophic and mesotrophic. We're kind of bumping up and down right in the middle there.
Yep.
So,
well, I just think, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Michael, but I think one of the basic things is just like the grassroots of education of people on the lake. I mean, I don't think people know what they don't know, and things they're doing that could be detrimental to the lake. And I think, to have some sort of an educational campaign is a first way to start too, because you got to get buy-in from everybody else. Because if others are thinking, forget it, I'm fine as is, I don't care about it. I think you've got to just start informing people of the basic things they can do before we, implement some major things that's so over their head that they're going to be like, forget it, it's not worth it to me.
well, that's somebody on this board hasn't gotten around to that yet. Me, we had talked about putting together an educational webinar and/or meeting based off the stuff that we learned at MSU. So you're right on the right track there. We just haven't got to it yet. We did have somebody come in and talk about, natural shorelines. And, but, we had, that was back before COVID. So
yeah,
I don't know if anybody actually took them up on that. And that led to me thinking we might want to look at some erosion projects. That's been sidetracked a little bit along the way. I think we might have higher goals. We might have more important things to do with our money than that. Those are very expensive. We were looking at the Shankin Culvert as one of the places where, it's a roadbed, it's a culvert, it's fallen into the lake. The village doesn't seem to think that's a big issue, but it's certainly not pretty. So we have plenty of opportunities. We got erosion, we've got education, we've got chemistry, and yes, that all those things are in play, and certainly within the bounds of this board. Remembering that this board is an advisory board to the council. We make motions to council, and if there's any money to be spent or any actions to be taken at a village level, it has to go through them first.
Yeah.
We have our meetings once a month. Right now, the first Wednesday of the month. It's important to make those meetings. I know you travel. I travel too. It's, surprising how many Wednesdays get in the way, but that's, that's part of the commitment, is getting to the meetings. And the reason for that is if we don't have a quorum, we can't do anything. So, anybody have any other questions of Rob? I am not on
I have
mute.
thick skin. You can hit me with whatever you want. I don't get offended easily.
Well, here's the process, Rob. We will convene on this right away. And we are going to pass up our recommendations to council. Including in that recommendation will be also, we're going to get an ad from Parks and Rec, so that we have to add by 2s. And we have a limit of 9 anyway, but we basically want to have more people on the board because we have so much to do and so many people that want to get things done. So
and I realize that you might have other people that have been waiting in line longer than me. I'm a relative newbie here, but even if being a board member isn't possible, if there's anything else I could do to help the board or the group collectively, I'll wait.
I don't think that there's not a line. So believe it or not, I don't know if we're doing something wrong or right, but there's no line. We have Lori Longbreak from Parks and Rec, and that she's already been recommended by Parks and Rec as a liaison. And our goal there is to have more joint efforts with Parks and Rec because we're kind of in the same business. Only theirs is on land, ours is on water. So we're going to add her. We're going to add 2. So the process is we will make our recommendations to council. We will write those up and have them at the next council meeting, which I will personally write those up and get those up there for their vote, hopefully next week.
Great.
And if everything goes according to Hoyle, you'll be contacted by either the village administrator or me, and we will get you, if approved, we will get you on the board right away. So in the old days, you had to go, swear an oath to God and country. I'm not sure they do that anymore based on COVID, but you might have to do it virtually. But anyway, that's the process. If anybody doesn't have any questions of Rob, do you have any other questions of us?
No, I think I got most of them answered in terms of what your priorities are. That's important. And, just some of the opportunities at places where I might be able to contribute if possible. But yeah, I'm sure I'll have more as I learn a little bit more about the group as well. But
from a money point of view, the lake, the chemicals that go into the lake and the limnologists are our biggest spends. Okay,
Yeah.
of our $200,000 budget, that's half of it almost. So,
so I mean, I know the harvester and the chemicals for the weeds and so on and so forth. It sounds like John, the other gentleman who was on before, right? He's an expert in the field. Are we getting our bang for our buck with what we're doing and those aspects of it?
Great question. We asked them that last year. We were spending all this money on weed control and harvesting. How are we doing? How do we grade our paper? So, it like a lot of things, it's staying ahead of it. We are keeping it at bay. I'm not say we're gaining on it, but we're keeping it at bay. As far as bang for a buck out of his company, I think they're fantastic value for us. He really is engaged and cares about the lake. So, and is an acknowledged expert in what he does in the state. I mean, he is on all these conferences and speaking, and they stay on top of a very, very professional group. And in fact, what happened today was Doug, and he invites us to go out on his surveys. So if you want to ride in the boat with him, you can go around with him and see what he does. And it's very educational as well. So, but what he does is he surveys the lake. He tells us, in the surveys, he tells us, where the weeds are. He then provides a map to the harvester operator in the village, and then that all gets taken care of. We have a very good harvester operator right now, so getting pretty efficient at that. We run the harvester quite a bit. It's a trade-off between harvester time and chemicals, and it's a balance, and you can do one or the other or both. We do both. We're lucky that we have our own harvester. Some people actually have to rent them when they're very expensive.
I heard you used to have a smaller one that could get back into the canals and things.
Yeah, and it's a good thing Ryan's not on here because he wants one bad because he lives back there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to happen. It's a big expense, and I think we have the biggest harvester they make now. So.
So has Paul ever mentioned anything that we're not doing that we could do
Well, that's kind of what I was asking them earlier is we need to do a deep dive into what else is out there, and what other actions we can take. I think we've got the plants under control as much as we can. And it's very cyclical. It's very seasonal too. Yeah. Some seasons are worse than others. When I came onto the board, it was nothing but a deluge of complaints about the weeds, especially down on the Penny Lake arm. So the bottom line is that part's good. I don't know if we're doing everything we can on chemicals and water chemistry. So that's why I was asking about the Phoslock and anything else we can do. And that may be something that we spend some time on this year. Because as you learned in the class, you get up that slippery slope and you can't turn it around. So we want to make sure we don't get too far up that slope.
Right.
But we're getting there. So I mean, we're right on that ragged edge, and we have the resources to make sure that it doesn't get worse. So that's one of the things. And then of course what Paul's doing on the sewer side, I mean, that's indirectly related to water quality, but it's important. And you know, the village is very supportive of that. Although, you know, it may take a little longer than we would like. And but that's just the process. So there's a lot of money in play there. There's bonds to be issued and all those other things. So that takes time. But so I have to say that, you know, we get good support from the village, and I don't know what else to say there. Anybody have any other comments?
I mean, there's always seems to be something that crops up. We do have, just to kind of be well-rounded, you just missed the meeting last week with the chief, who talks to us about safety. And, you know, we get a lot of visitors on this lake.
Yeah.
So we understand some of the limitations that we have as far as being able to control what's going on. But the chief seems to be able to stay on top of it. I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, we ended up with algae blooms that seemed to be more prolific than they had been in the past. And Paul Hauser was able to step up. I think he paid more visits to the lake, and he did some chemical mitigation that didn't cure it. But and you sometimes will get complaints from people that I remember Mike Sargent a couple of times having to let people know that, hey, the lake is not a swimming pool. Lakes do what lakes do. There's going to be weeds from time to time. There's going to be, you know, boats get out there and chop up the weeds that are there, and they float to the shoreline. But it is.
I think they all float to my shoreline, Paul.
You'd be surprised how many people say that.
There's two camps on any lake. One is the camp that wants to keep the lake absolutely natural as can be. Let it just be a lake. And then the other camp is they want a swimming pool that they can put their boat in and catch fish. And generally there's not a lot of people that fall in between those two camps. And so we have to bridge that kind of those two extremes. And sometimes it gets a little weird.
Well, you're never going to please everybody 100%. So if you can get everybody to agree to a little bit of variation, fluctuation, you know, that's maybe the best you can do. But again, I just think it comes to a lot of education of all the folks on the lake, so they understand what the ramifications are of doing one versus another and to what degree.
Yeah.
I have a question. Have you been able to check out the website and read some of Paul's reports?
I have not yet. No, I don't know if I don't know if I knew that existed. Maybe Paul, Paul, which Paul Snyder or
Paul Hauser?
Oh, no, I didn't. I don't think I may not have seen that, but I will now if I know where to find that. Yeah. Is it on? Where would I find it?
It's under the water board stuff.
It is? Okay.
Yeah. He usually puts like his reports and, you know, updates the treatment information and things like that.
Good. Yeah, no, I definitely will. Yeah. Happy to. So.
Paul Snyder's report is usually, we didn't meet this month, so I can give you his report.
You can this month.
Well, great. Well, like I said, if there's anything I can do to help or be part of it in whatever capacity that is, I'm totally fine with it.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Rob, for joining us. Really appreciate your time and your interest, and something will be happening very quickly, one way or the other. So
Okay,
we're
great.
not going to keep this hanging.
Okay,
All right.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm
Thank you.
guessing I should probably sign off now, right? Because you got like,
Unless you want to get really bored.
no, but you're probably going to be talking about stuff I'm not terribly familiar with yet. So I'll let you
Yeah, okay.
get bits of
Talk,
munch.
talk
All
about
right.
you behind your back now that we had the interview.
Say what?
We'll talk about you behind your back. now
Yeah,
that
there
we
you
had the
go.
interview.
Yeah. I'm used to it. Everybody talks behind my back about me. So just hopefully it'll be a little better than usual.
Great.
All right.
folks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Nice meeting you all.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.
So just staying on new business. Do we have a motion on Rob's candidacy?
I move we recommend Rob to join the water. Board.
I second that. Need a roll call.
Snyder,
Yes.
Hurst,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Duff,
Nay.
Sergeant, Sergeant,
Muted.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
okay.
Motion carries. All right. Also, while we're on the topic, Lori Longbreak has been recommended by Parks and Rec. That was, I went to their meeting. That is their candidate. I will add her name to Rob's name and send it up to the council for a vote, hopefully next week. Okay. On to administrator's report. Current lake level. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's also on the website allegedly somewhere. But anyway, we're making great progress there. Tons of data, lots of things to look at. I think it's great. It's gone together really well. Ryan's not here to receive the compliment, but I think it's a good thing for us and provides us with some sense of safety when it comes to our dam. I don't know of any noteworthy complaints. So I'm going to go on to my chairman's report. I looked at the due outs from last month. I think we have everything covered along the way. Mike, you're going to look into the fish MS or getting the state to help do a fish count. I know that's going to be probably a long and arduous process.
Well, one email in and so far nothing, but I didn't expect it. So
yeah, well, that's what I'm getting from all my customers when I'm passing them price increases right now. So you're making, oh, the other thing is on the Huron, we'll get to this later, but we need to actually nominate Mike to the council on Huron River Water Council, but Watershed Council, but we'll get there. And that's, I think, pretty much covers all of anything that we're not going to cover later. From my perspective, from a due outs point of view. The other thing I want to talk about was, I covered the liaison. One of the things I want to talk about is the timing of our meetings. did not realize that it's a 2-week delay, or could be a 2-week delay getting the minutes up to council, which was, I was wondering why our motions have been a month delayed, and it's because of the timing of this meeting. So I think we have two options here. We can either move the meeting or try to move the meeting to the week after the council so that we have 3 weeks to get the minutes in, or we grind through writing up the minutes separately. Writing up the motions separately and getting them up to council, kind of a manual process, which is apparently allowed. So
did anybody give you an answer as to why our motions take 2 weeks? Is it
No,
only because they're in the minutes?
Because they take them from the minutes, and Hannah.
Yeah,
and
see,
her,
that's different from what John Scott said, that we were put the week before council so that our motions would go right to council.
and maybe Kathy, it was a change in the contract, but they have 2 weeks to get the.
Yeah,
and
that's why none of our stuff gets to.
That's why
And
it's
I've been
delayed.
saying that for 2 years, because
Okay, well,
none of our stuff goes to council.
and I asked, and I said, so what's the deal? And they said, well, they've got, the service has got 2 weeks to get the minutes in, and that's the contract. So it's nothing on Hannah. That's the contract.
Right,
It's
right.
2
And
weeks.
it's not necessarily their fault. It's just whatever
Right.
deal they
So-
have. I was just wondering.
If we stick to Wednesday, the first Wednesday, then we either wait a month and a half or a month and a week extra, a month extra, or we write up all these motions and get them up to the village administrator on our own. So not that we need to vote on it today, but I think, it's going to be cumbersome for us to write these up and I mean, that's what we're going to have to do if we don't change the meeting. I'm not stuck on the first Wednesday for any particular reason. I don't know if anybody else is. I don't even know if we can move it to the third Wednesday, but I personally would like to move the meeting. I think it would just make things flow better, and we wouldn't, maybe not, we might miss some things when we're doing our motions that would not be missed if the minutes, but I'm not asking for anybody to vote on that today. I just want you guys to think about it, because like for today, we need to write up everything. I want to write up this thing on Mike, and I want to write up the thing on getting new members on the board, and that's fine. But going forward, that's going to be every meeting. So you guys think about it. We'll discuss it at length at the next meeting, or we'll have a vote or something. But just ponder that. I don't want to have this without a full complement of people on here. So
Mike, when you talked to the administrator, did they say if it was easy or hard to change our day?
I haven't got there yet, Kathy.
Okay, because I know for some organizations it's extremely difficult. That's why I asked. Like when I was on the PTA for school, like to change it is very difficult. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, and it may not even be available, but and I will look into that before the next meeting. But
yeah, I'm assuming that the administrator can just tell you it should be in the charter. Didn't you say you had a copy of the charter?
I have a piece of it, but I don't have all of it. So anyway, seems like we should be able to move our meeting if it's available, if the time slot's available, but I guess we'll have to see. Okay, that's what I have on my report. So I think we can get on to continuing business. Thank you very much for participating on the budget piece. I honestly didn't know all the left and right limits of how that all worked. I think kind of John took care of a lot of stuff for us and it just happened. So, and so I'm glad we did what we did. On that, Paul, I do want to look into those TVs you were talking about. I think it's going to be a long play for us to get there, but I do want to look at that. I really don't like static signs. I don't think they're effective. So I don't want to pour good money after bad and putting up a bunch of signs nobody's going to read. So
Right.
I think we can explore that. I have talked to the village about the fact we'd have to get this cleared through Eagle or DNR or whatever they're called now. I don't see them putting the kibosh on us trying to put up stuff for safety, but crazy. I think it shouldn't be a big deal. I think it'd be a lot more effective if we could do an electronic sign. Also be more, we could.
Well, does the water board approve of me trying to do a little deeper dive than I have? I just found this company that, you know, I think where their major work is in like the outdoor seating and sports bars.
Mm-hmm.
But if they've got stuff, I'll ask for wherever else they have their stuff, particularly if it's a municipal effort.
Yeah,
I think we should do some more research. But also, Mike, I just want to know, are you thinking about replacing the sign that's up there or just adding to it?
Well, yeah, either or both. I mean, the signs that are there are not effective. So, you know, I think we need to look at the realm of the possible and see what it is. I mean, our boat washing sign points in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I know the boat washing thing. I was talking to a few people and nobody's using it. And it's just costing us a bunch of extra money because we actually did the grant thing to get that through the state, through the DNR. So upgrading that, I think at this point might be a bigger challenge than just convincing people to use it because it's evaporating and we're filling it and nobody's using it. And then it's costing the village money to take care of it. So I agree we need to get people to participate in these things. But before you just start buying more things, I think we just got to convince people to participate.
Here's what we do is we hire college kids to work for tips on weekends, come in and get your boat washed, tip these kids out so they can pay for tuition. And everybody will use it. They get a free boat wash, except for the tips.
They will never make it. They'll never make enough tips.
I know, but we can sucker them into it for a few weekends and see how it goes.
Well, that's true. You know,
if we could get people to use it, and I don't know because I don't know anyone who launches and retrieves on a daily basis, right? Like, the people who live here just launch it once and leave it. So
yeah.
I'm not sure how many. I know like we have those bass tournaments, but on a day-to-day basis, I guess we could ask the village, how often do we have, visitors and stuff? Because I know Andy was tracking that for a little while in terms of how many people were using it or how much he had to refill it. And I know he was saying that it evaporates and then clogs the nozzle more than it ever gets used.
Jeez.
So it's not, you know what I mean? So people are just not using it.
So is that education? Is that just people
I
doing?
think people, well, I mean, I think the education is out there. Okay. There's a ton of it everywhere. There's signs every lake I visited, every boat launch, there's signs everywhere. It's all over. But how do you convince people to do it? When Mark and I travel to other places, we see all kinds of signage. And I mean, personally, the kids and I stand there while Mark does his thing and we read the sign, mostly because I'm teaching my children how to read, right? But, in terms of convincing others, right? I mean, people they don't care. They choose not to.
Yeah. I suspect that's somewhat the case with safety issues as well. People maybe, maybe, I think there's a percentage of those that understand where our rules are and choose to selectively follow them. But, if the
Yeah,
signage is better,
and it's hard because there's so many people who know, right, what the rules are and choose to disobey them. Like if you're already going to go get drunk and high and then go out on the lake, either in a boat or on the ice, you don't care about the lake rules.
right?
Right.
Care about getting caught.
Right. That's kind of the problem. You're already one step in the wrong direction, let alone any rule of the lake is not on their mind at all. So
Right.
Awareness is very hard.
What
to
is
get
your
out there in the
recommendation
media.
here?
And that's a hard sell. I think last year doesn't really count because of COVID, right? But the year before, I do know that Grunwald had been harder on people breaking the rules.
Yeah.
And that's what I think really helps. Like for many years, everyone was really good about obeying the rules and knowing what's going on. But then, you had too many people being kind. Oh, you just messed up a little bit. I'm going to give you a warning. Well, we've gotten all we're doing is warning people over and over again. And so people don't take it serious. You know what I mean? It's just like having a toddler.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much we can do as a group other than just word of mouth and talking to people. I don't know, same thing with, talking to your neighbor and fellow boaters and finding out how much they know about the boating laws and rules, right?
Yeah.
That might be a good step for us in talking to the community just to see who knows what, because more advertisement doesn't always bring results, right?
Right.
If they're not reading what's out there now, one more, and I'm not against upgrading flashy signs or anything, but, let's make sure that we do our research to get the right information.
Okay, on that clean boats, clean water thing, is there anything we can get some assistance through the state or recommendations?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the state's still not up. And we could reach out to the DPW and just talk to them and just be like, hey, how much does it cost? How much are we using it? Get their thoughts. And like I said, talk to others in the community about, have anyone else thought to use it? Or does anyone see anyone use it?
Yeah.
Because you can make the case, if you could say, people were trying to use this, but it's not working well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if no one's trying to use it, you can't make that case. So I for work, I always have to have a lot of, information to build my case to get what you need. So, I think we need to do a little of that before we just start wanting to upgrade. And then it's easier for them to say, or harder for them to say no.
Okay. So where do we go from here?
Talk to our community.
Well, I think we just do more research on what kind of signage is out there. I think Catherine's idea of making sure that, there may be some data out there where signage has had an impact one way or another, and how effective it is at altering behavior. So I think we continue down the path. I think it can't hurt to have better signage.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we can look at other lake signage. I mean, have we thought to try out other lakes? I mean, I haven't looked real close at the ones around here, but I know up north where we go all the time, we've checked out tons of their areas, right?
Yeah.
So, that could be just like,
Yeah. Well, the DEQ may have some data on that as well. They might, there might be, these lakes are lakes that we find fewer violations. And then we go take a look at what the lake's doing to
yeah, and they have a lot of data and a lot of resources. It is sometimes hard to sift through their website but you know, even like nobody's looking at our website,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we are not reading council's minutes, right? I mean, so it's just this perpetuating, you know. And so that's what I would say I think we should work on, is just bringing ourselves up to speed better.
Getting better informed.
Okay. Well, I wrote down that, you know, what we really want is to improve the use rate of the boat wash.
Yeah.
And there's at least, I wrote down 2 avenues there, through education or signage. So that's, I guess, what we need to focus on is let's decide how we get smarter ourselves on the education side of it. And maybe we can get some advice from somebody on the efficacy, which we've all learned that word lately, on the boat wash. Who wants to jump up and spearhead that one?
I'll do some of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep looking as we go and see what's going on, and you know, and again, like just talking to people in the community to see why are we not doing these things, right?
Right.
You know, maybe you just need to look at somebody outside of our realm and say, okay, you know, like just because Mark and I do it on our boat that we travel to other lakes, we don't do it on our pontoon because that stays at this lake and never leaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, so what about others, and what might they give as a suggestion? You know, we could call the bass tournament people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
that's true too.
I mean,
What do you want me to call them?
And well, they have a website. You know, and ask them. And then on those days that you know they're going to be here, you know, take a look and see, you know, what they're doing.
So I'll tell you what, why don't we all take a note that we're all gonna get a little smarter on the boat wash, education, signage, whatever, efficacy of the boat wash, and let's put it on the agenda for discussion for next meeting. I agree, we don't want to waste money on signage if it doesn't do anything, and I think that we need to exhaust all resources when it comes to other people's ideas and case studies on how they got it to work. So I agree.
Yep.
So we don't have to, no motion there. We can just take a homework assignment.
Yeah.
I have a dumb question. The boat wash, is that for boats coming in or going out?
I'm guessing it's coming in.
No,
You don't
it's
want
for
people-
both. It's recommended that you do it both coming in and going out, because there could be something in our lake you don't want to transfer to someone else's lake. Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, you know, most people here that are living on our lake, we're not using it.
Right.
Well, we don't have to because we're not
Right.
taking our boat anywhere.
Right. And so it's like the bass tournament people, and it's not law, so nobody wants to do it.
I'm going to interject.
No.
Come on, let me get in the meeting.
No.
All right. Hello, Councilman Duff here.
Hey.
So a while ago, we actually approached the DNR about this. And the DNR basically said, there's nothing you can do to enforce it until there's a law. And essentially, if you put signage up, nobody's going to use it. We have the DPW do a fairly lengthy, I guess, monitoring of how much chemical and how long. And I mean, it evaporated before people used it. Let's put it that way. So people just don't use it.
So we can't legally enforce it, but that only leaves the alternative of incentivizing it, finding
Right,
some
right.
way to
And-
make
and
it.
How are you going to incentivize it?
Well, I don't know if you were here for my discussion about having college students do the deed for tips, but you know, like a student.
Well,
car
the
wash
other
kind
thing
of
that you have to understand is anything that happens on that piece of property, you have to clear with the DNR. It's
Right.
not village property. So
Right.
you have to get their permission before you do anything.
Sure.
So incentivizing it,
That's why,
No.
talking to the community and just seeing what other people who are using the lake, right? If
This-
anyone has any friends that visit.
this is an
Yeah.
issue that's been going on for about 12 years. I got heavily involved in it about 6 years ago. And again, we had the DPW maintain it, monitor it, and just nobody cares to use it. So that's
Can we
it.
incentivize it by putting a 22 shell underneath the water line of any boat that doesn't use it?
That's a good answer. But
Hey, it's the same thing in terms of wakeboard boats and seawalls, right? Until there's a law that makes it where they can't do it, they're gonna do it.
And even then they'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I get we want to do things that help, and the best way to do that is just talking to people and getting them, like trying to convince them the same way, right? If you don't have a law, you got to convince them. So, or make it easy, and how hard, is it to use our boat launch, right? Or our cleaning station.
Yeah.
But how do you convince them, right? It's just like trying to keep your kids
Well,
out of trouble.
The other aspect of it too is it's not like it's instant. You have to spray it down. You kind of have to let it dry a little bit. Nobody's going to do that on a weekend. They're trying to get in and out as quick as possible.
Sure. Well, the thing is it feels a little bit like we're painting ourselves into a corner where we can't do anything unless the DNR says it's okay. We maintain the thing that nobody uses.
Yep.
And then we get concerned about the contaminants that are coming into our lake from other
pretty much.
places. So it just,
As I say, it was very similar to the aeration. The DNR knew they weren't going to allow us to put it in deep holes. They wanted the research. Did they tell us that before we spent all that money on them? No, but they loved the information we gave them. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They don't have the resource to gather the information or do the stuff on their own. So if you want to pony up the cash for it, go for it. They won't stop you.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So I'm not ready to wave the white flag yet, so I think we need to see what.
No, we shouldn't give up yet, but just, maybe take a slightly different approach.
Well, we really didn't have an approach before, so this is not a slightly different approach. This is an approach.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, if it's a fait accompli and it never will get anywhere, then maybe the end game is we pull the damn thing out. So, but I don't like that idea at all. So
Yeah, I don't either.
there must be something in between there.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid we get something else in our lake that we already haven't had to deal with yet.
Right.
And maybe it's just a matter of time before that happens, but I sure would like to delay it as much as we can.
It will happen.
Yeah. One more invasive.
Yes. It'll be uninvasive or because
Right.
somebody will, no matter what we'll do, they'll decide that doesn't apply to them and they'll do it. But like you said, we need to delay it as long as possible.
All right. Does anybody have anything else to say about the budget? That's what we were actually on.
No,
Great.
we're not getting a raise, right? So,
No, you're not getting a raise.
Wait
okay.
a minute. Didn't we vote on a 500% raise?
No,
did.
it's the pay's not great, but it's all the aquatic plants you can eat.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Yum.
With and without
Salad days
invasive
after the harvester
species.
goes through, right?
You don't want to wash it down with the boat wash apparently, because that doesn't work. Okay, so the next topic on continuing business is the sewer SAT initiative. I'm sure Paul has something fascinating to tell us.
Absolutely. You may have noticed it's up on the website. So that's going along okay. David says that there are 15 people who've signed the petition. Apparently, I mean, when they notarize it, they are notarizing the collector of the signature, not the person that is actually turning it in. So apparently somebody came in, and I'm not quite sure how, I got to get better schooled on that. Apparently somebody came in with their own petition and signature. So I'm figuring that out. We got 15 valid signatures so far, 15 valid petitions. I've talked with Dave a little bit about, or emailed back and forth a little bit about setting up a little station there on weekends. I got to pick one where there isn't other stuff going on, but I'll be there, and I'm going to try and get at least maybe one or two other people, and I'll sit there on a weekend for a few hours, and whoever want, instead of having to try and catch the village office open, if it's on a weekend and you can come by and sign your petition, might collect them that way. I think my biggest fear is somebody wanting to throw the finish flag after we get 30 signatures. And I really would like to go for a lot more than that. Not just for the cushion, but the goal is to get all of the houses that aren't currently using sanitary sewer, off their septic fields. So
in theory, the more signatures you get on the same SAD, then you spread out the fixed costs too, right?
Yes.
So it helps everybody out. So based on 15 signatures so far, where do you think we're going here as far as 30, 40, 50? Where do you think it's going to end up?
I'm hoping it's closer to the 50 range. I'd like
Really?
That's not a bad bogey. Well, there's a lot of construction. There always is on this lake. If you've got people if we can get to the people that are considering either addition improvements or reconstructing something, that are going to have to either put it in solo or join a group, I think that's some good opportunity. I think people living across, that aren't riparian, that seems like a pretty target-rich environment. People that are eligible but aren't right on the water, for some reason have had a tendency to be less inclined to sign up for whatever reason. So I think kind of along with Kathy's theme, some education to these folks, might spur them to move in a direction that's better for our cause. So that's my hope. I'm going to go for 50. I don't know if there's a date we have to drop dead for or what, but
that's what I was going to ask. Do you have an idea of when you think? Because the last time I know that the SAD went through my neighborhood, they had an end date.
Yeah. Well,
this was obviously like a while ago.
But was that during the petition drive, or was that, once the petitions are turned in, then you've got the clock starts ticking for when you have your public meetings.
I don't honestly remember. I just know that there was like an end date, and there was a lot of notification about when that end date is. So I don't, and two, the people who are signing up, it just might help them too have a slight indication of when you think you want an end date.
Yeah.
But no, definitely. I would say get out there and talk to people.
Yeah. We're going to start doing more of that. Try to get a couple of email blasts going. If we have an end date, this is the beginning of May, I would say the week after Tiki Night.
Yeah. At least have like a, it's not like a hard end date, but have something in mind that you're aiming for, and then you can make the decision to extend it. If you seem to have like a lot of interest or,
but
I would just get out there and talk to as many people. I don't know. I guess like I haven't been like trapped in my house, so I still talk to a lot of people regularly.
last I spoke with the village, I mean, they're still, they got people making appointments to come in to sign the petition.
Oh, that's good.
So they're still by appointment only. So somebody that might be inclined to drive by and sign up won't be able to do it. And they're not excited, at least last when I spoke to them, about having petitioners go door to door because of COVID.
Yeah, right. And two, I'm just guessing that the sign up times are like during business hours.
Exactly. And that's
right?
why I
So
think,
like I would never be able to go.
well, that's why I'm thinking doing something in the parking lot at the village offices during the weekend.
Right.
Might
like,
be helpful.
like having a Saturday morning or something.
Yeah.
Because honestly, there are more and more people who are just find it hard to get out there during the week.
I agree.
Paul, have you thought about leveraging our electronic signs on this? Because they could flash up some, not only some education, but also sign up information. And if you're, I mean, I drive by that thing every day and read it. So
yeah,
maybe I'm one of the few, but at least on this side of the lake, people are going to see it.
Yeah, that has been mentioned. We were waiting for the first launch off the website, and Tabitha said, yeah, she can change that message anytime.
Great.
And they can't include the sewer SAD.
Right. Okay. Good. Man, it's too bad we don't have a third sign on the other side of the lake so we can capture everybody. But apparently, it's only on this side.
Yeah.
On the good side, Kathy.
That's right. Well, the other thing that, I mean, the opportunities we're missing, and I'm thinking, I don't know if there's going to be any big events. And I know Tiki Night is an event in and of itself, but if we had something at the corn roast where people could sign, but that's kind of past where we
it's a little out there. Yeah, it's just hard because you don't want to necessarily spend big money to put like a little, you know, like those little banner signs out or anything.
Yeah.
And it true, like this is just going to be hard because people are not out. People are not out in their community like they used to be, right?
Yeah.
You know, how many of us are out there talking to all our neighbors on a regular basis?
Right. So I could get one of those big horns on top of my car.
You need one of those dancing people.
What?
You need one of those dancing people, you know, the little air dancing.
Yeah. I'm not talking about me doing it because last time I did something like that, somebody threw me to the ground and tried to jam a spoon between my teeth. So,
ooh,
you haven't seen me dance.
But it's going to be hard. Everything we do this year is going to be harder because people are just not back to normal.
Yeah,
and they're not sure what getting back to normal means yet.
Right.
And certainly don't want to be complaining about anything.
Right.
Right. So it's hard to say. You know, so many things are just not back up and running.
Right. So that's kind of where we're at with that.
All right.
I will reach out. I know Ryan is desperately interested in getting as many signatures as quickly as possible. So I'm gonna suck him into you know, doing a little bit. He's already got. I suspect he's responsible for several of the signatures we already had. But I'll look at what the village schedule is and figure out a good Saturday to be up there, and we'll try and get the word out.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for all that effort. I mean, it's starting to get momentum now, and you know it's going to happen. It's just you know how many and how long it takes, but that's good. I mean, I really feel like that's impactful to the community, whether they know it or not. Okay, on canals and muck, Kathy, are we done? I think we're done, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are. There's no way we're going to do any real dredging.
Right.
That's just it's just a bigger project than the community wants.
It's definitely expensive. So
it's expensive, and you know you get 8 houses that want it, but you need like 30. And you're just not getting enough people. Not to mention, from everything all the information we could find, like the location for the vacuum dredge, we just don't have a place to put it unless you truck it, and then it's super expensive.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And honestly, with the economy right now, I don't think that's like the least of their concern.
Right. I agree. I know, but we're really limited on what we can do there.
Right, I would push to turn the Helmsford pump on and flow water.
Well, that,
I mean, I
hopefully they're
would push
gonna-
to do that, you know,
that
whether it's
recommendation will get
intermittent,
there next week.
right, you know, and I would push to continue to do that. And then, you know, sometimes we have to start small
Right.
in order to get people excited and involved and wanting to care more about the lake,
Agreed.
you know.
It's just frustrating that we just don't have too many tools in our tool bag here when it comes to this. There's just not a whole lot we can do.
And it's hard. It's a DNR lake, so it's not
Yeah.
like it'd be different if the village owned the lake. You
Right.
could really make your own decisions then.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm, you know, can we take that off as continuing business or put it down to, move it down to,
I would take it off.
okay,
We can bring it back later if something
Certainly.
comes up.
okay. On the aeration, you know, we're gonna ask for the money to take the equipment out of the lake. I think it's the right thing to do. If council decides it's the right thing to do, I think that's what we should do. If they decide they don't want to spend their money there, that's also their decision, but I think taking that equipment out and maybe someday in the future, finding something else we can do with it, but I don't
Yeah,
like leaving it in there.
Mike, I think the biggest impact that I heard from people on the lake was that it helped the algae kind of at the end areas.
Yeah.
So
Moving,
I mean,
just moving water.
yeah, so way down on this Penny Lake arm, like 4 or 5 houses appreciated that it kept the algae down. So I was, not one more thing on my plate, but it would be nice to take Paul's map. Like I would love it if Paul, you know how he gave his little presentation today? If he just wrote on the map, algae, right where he found algae, you know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
we could track that all year. And then is it worth putting aeration in those locations?
So how about I do that? I'll send a note to Paul saying, hey, we would just want a separate map every time you survey that just addresses algae so we can track it through.
Right.
And then we'll have some data at the end of the year.
Right. I mean, because I think if you ever go back to aeration, you need to say, I think I want it to accomplish this, or, you know, 1, 2, or 3 items, and why I think it'll help there. And then we need to create a measurement tool.
And I don't have a
Or
problem
no
with
one's
that.
going to buy into it because it was
Right.
just so disorganized.
Right, I
And
agree.
if we don't start by even just tracking little things like the amount of algae in different pockets, or,
Right.
you know what I mean? I don't want to
Yes.
get hopes up too much that it's gonna, you know, get rid of sediment and stuff, but at least with algae, it's very visible.
Yes.
And
you
it
know,
could help in the long run, cut down on chemicals in the lake.
okay, and then I'm all for that too. So I agree. Let's figure out how we can get the algae tracker going, and let's get some data for the year. And you know, maybe there's an easy next step when it comes to shallow water aeration, specifically for that. I thought for sure we'd find a reason to put it in the canal, but apparently that's not.
Yeah,
really,
I
so.
think, you know what, it's really hard. I've heard people not put aeration in, but I actually heard, not any resident here, but I met people at the conference who put like what we're thinking to do with the Helmsford pump, they put like a little pipe sticking out and forced water flow in front of their area on a canal.
Mhm.
And that seemed to help for them anyways, and that was interesting, right? So I think really in a canal, it's just slight water flow.
Yeah, and maybe that moves the algae through and that's all you need. But maybe with the Helmsford pump running, it'll help that as well, but those things don't run all the time, so. Okay. I'll take a note that I'll get a hold of Paul on that. Transponders, we're up and running. There's probably some.
I'm sorry, I keep butting in on you, Mike. I'm sorry. I put the thing,
I'll put myself on mute. You can just
I
talk.
know, no, I'm sorry. No, but did you guys put the, it's not really an app, but you can put a shortcut on your phone. Did you guys do
Yeah,
that?
yes, I
Yeah, so you
did
can
that.
check it all the time. Like my kids always want to swim in the lake every day. So I like open it up and show them how cold the water is.
There you go. No, it's cool. I mean, I think there's going to be, I look at it way too much more than I should already. And there's a link up on the website. Apparently we need to talk to Ryan about if he's got the push text or whatever set up to Andy or whoever, if we have an emergency situation. But I think it's great. It went in pretty smoothly. I think it's non-obtrusive. I was kind of worried about maybe people would want to abscond with it, but I'm not even sure you could find it unless you're looking for it. So it turned out to be a good thing. So, and John Scott's all excited about it. So he thinks it's the greatest thing in the world. Harvester, I heard, maybe Kathy, I'll turn this over to you. Did the Harvester break down again?
Wait, yes, it has a fuel issue.
Okay.
Oh, it had. Is it fixed?
Your voice changed there.
It's fixed. It is fixed. And so is the police boat. That's fixed too.
Okay, well, the police boat isn't on our budget, but I heard that the Harvester is, and I heard there was a problem. I had no idea.
Well,
The fuel gel.
I guess no one cared for it, putting it away in the fuel gel.
Well, that can be fixed. So, all right. I don't think there's anything to say about the Harvester. Right now, we're going to have the same operator we had last year, which will be probably a good thing. Lakeshore maintenance. I have on here erosion cleanup and debris removal. There's actually been some discussion about what we can do on dredging the Schenken Canal, the Schenken culvert area there. We have a quote from somebody that's a little bit old, like you guys heard it during the budget review. I didn't even realize that had happened, but along those lines, also there's a villager that wants to meet out by the area behind Mallow Beach there and discuss what can be done about that, filling in with the leaves. This gets back to what can be done, what needs a permit, what doesn't need a permit, what equipment's available, if any. Ryan actually talked about something manual last meeting. So all of those things are things that I'm going to look into. We may never get there, but I'd like to at least understand the realm of the possible. That area certainly is filling in, and if nothing's done, it will fill in completely eventually. So you just need to see what can be done there and if it's economically viable. Knocking around the idea of maybe see if we can get some volunteers in kayaks to go around the lake and pick up beer cans or whatever as part of a community service thing. I really haven't done anything about that. I've been trying to talk to some kayakers going around here. There is a group that runs around our lake, predominantly ladies, and if they're organized in any way, maybe we can a little cleanup day. I don't know. It's just something I thought of. Kayaks would be real handy because they can get into shore very closely, much better than I can navigate with my boat. Lake enforcement issues, not really much going on. We do have the buoys up, which is good, and the one I can see works, so that's a good thing. Plant control and invasive species, we're kind of just got that report in, and really not much to say there, although I will follow up with Paul on the algae piece. I think that's a great idea. It was something we wanted to try to get done this year. Huron Valley Watershed Council. As it turns out, we need to make a recommendation to our village council on Mike being part of that. So does somebody want to make a motion?
I nominate Mike Sargent to be our representative at the Huron Valley Watershed Council.
Second that. Roll call.
Snyder,
Yay.
Hurst,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
and then does Sergeant vote for himself?
Almost.
You can abstain.
Does it matter?
Of course.
Okay, Mike, I'll write that up and get it up to council for their approval at the next meeting. I didn't realize that was a requirement before. I apologize, but I don't think it'll be an issue. Just a matter of doing the right thing here.
I didn't realize it either until she told me the procedure. So
Yeah. Next on the list is the calendar. I'm delinquent on that again, although Paul says he's coming back next month in June, so we'll see him again on next June. This June. I sent you guys out my version of the goals and objectives for the year. The goals and objectives, both broad and
Short term.
specific for short range. That was my take. I'm just going to keep this sort of as a living document. If you guys want to add, delete, address anything, I would like to add in this little piece about improving the use rate of the boat wash. And I'll put efficacy if I can figure out how to spell it. And then, through signage and education and signage and any other means. But I think we need to put that on that list as well. I put that list together, I'm kind of anal when it comes to things like that, but it turns out to be a pretty lengthy list and we got a lot going on. So,
Hey,
Yeah.
Mike, I got one more thing to share with you guys.
oh my goodness.
I know. I had a hard time, like Mike did, with the Huron Valley watershed, but I'm a member of the Tip of the Mitt watershed, which is the one up north.
Now, why would that be?
That's where my house is.
I didn't know you had a place up there.
And so I've been a member up there for years. But they just recently, because I get their emails all the time, and I tried to sign up for Huron Valley's emails, but I don't know, I did it wrong. Anyway, Tip of the Mitt is, I would tell you guys to check out their website. Maybe I can forward you the email, only because they put out like a flyer email about all the events they're going to do this summer for their watershed in their local lake communities. And it just is something to read, to maybe get some ideas of what other communities are doing.
Cool.
The Mid Group is always in these, they're always presenting at these conferences.
Yeah, it's a really big, well-organized group. They got a lot of extra money. They're part of Traverse City. They got a little bit bigger budget, I think.
I think Huron River is pretty big and organized too, but I think a lot of the activities focus around Ann Arbor. So, my guess.
We'll try to do something about that.
Yeah, since we're the big footprint up here at the top. By the way, the reason why we're in Huron River is because of the way the original water would have flown through here. With the dam, we actually output to another watershed. So that's really odd. The water that our lake puts into the Huron River watershed is down by Benstein, okay? That end of the lake. And there is output there. But the stuff going over the dam goes to another watershed. You don't believe me? Look at the maps.
I thought Benstein was an inlet.
Yeah.
There's water leaving the lake there.
No,
No, it's
Benstein
coming
Dam
in.
is an outlet.
It's an
Oh
outlet,
wait, I'm
right?
wrong. You're right. Benstein is an inlet. It's the dam at Glengarry that's the outlet.
Yeah,
Okay,
it comes in at Benston and goes out at Glengarry.
look
Right,
at
so
the
I
Huron River map. We, according to the Huron River watershed map, our water is going that way.
Yeah,
Did you look at it?
no, I didn't, but I guess I'm just taking, John Scott's word
Well,
that there was 3 inlets and one
Right, well,
exit.
anyway, maybe somebody needs to check my math, but
That's
I'm
all right.
pretty-
We can be.
I'm pretty sure what's going over the dam goes to a different watershed for sure. Okay, so I'm assuming that because of the dam, if we didn't have a dam, all the water would be going toward whatever water would be coming out of this piece of the watershed would be going toward the Huron River. But
And I think the water goes into Twin Sons, and then from Twin Sons it comes into our lake.
really,
That's what I've been told. I didn't look at the map, so maybe the
I
map.
walked over the bridge and
indicates otherwise.
watching the water leave the lake. So anyway, all right. Well,
We'll figure it out later.
disregard what I said. Strike that from the minutes.
I'm not going to be able to sleep now.
Oh, I might just be rambling and making shit up. I am a salesman. Okay, Mike, that's for you to figure out.
Okay.
Clean waters, clean boats. Back to the goals and objectives. I don't know if you guys read them or not. But any input you have would be great. I'm trying to organize what we're doing based on the 3 components of what we're supposed to be taking care of: safety, lake health, and recreation. As it turns out to me, we don't spend a lot of time on the recreation part, from what I can tell. So, but that's for another day. Clean boats, clean waters. This kind of goes back to the boat wash thing, Kathy, and I think there might be some help out there on how we can make our boat wash more effective. So I'm not ready to fold in the towel. So let's keep on it. I do not want to think that we can't ever make that work.
No, I think we could convince people to use it easily.
And you're right. I gotta tell you, my wife took the MSU course this winter as well. And her walk away was, boy, there's a lot of stuff about this lake people don't know about and don't understand. And why aren't you doing anything about it? I mean, she's right. I mean, yeah, I think there's just a lot of stuff going on that people don't realize, and gets back to what we were talking about earlier with Rob, and that is the education part of it, which I never got to. But if we can find a way to leverage the website and or these Zoom meetings to increase that, great. We need to figure it out. I'm running through these quickly. Website content, I think that's just a long range thing. But I think it's a good thing for us to focus on long range. I think that it'll probably be a long road, but I think we can really, really improve our website content. I don't think we're going to be able to get a contractor to do it for us. We're going to have to work with the village and maybe even provide some of our own assistance if anybody has any knowledge of that sort of thing. But there's a lot of things we could do with the website. And yeah, Kathy, I know people don't look at it, including me, but it would be good if we could at least make it available.
Yeah, I checked it out last month, and it was already designed. It was much easier to find things.
Yeah, but the water board stuff, there's a lot of blanks, right?
There wasn't that much.
No, it
but
wasn't bad last I looked.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess it depends on what you consider a lot of blanks. Like sometimes too much data is overwhelming to people.
Yeah.
I don't know what, we could look at it again and just say, does it cover everything we want it to cover? how much history do you want on there?
All right.
Well, this has been upgraded. Oh, there's our link. Oh my God. Look at that. It's a beauty. All right. Well, I think it can be expanded. And whether people want to use it or not, you know, you're right. All those reports from Paul are on there. You just got to dig around for them if you're interested.
Yeah.
And maybe we can put educational pieces on there. Not that anybody's going to dig through there and look, but they could be available. So, okay. Bird and boat count. I don't think it's time for that yet, is it? Doug?
They're gonna do the goose roundup permit. He said it's due May 21st. So we're probably out until June to do it.
Did you get hooked up with that person that was looking to participate?
Yeah, he's on my list.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't remember the name, but I am happy to report that I saw a sandhill crane in the village last week. I couldn't believe it. Has anybody seen one before?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're all over the place.
A sandhill crane in the village?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're usually in
I
the
see them
park.
over across the street from the memorial,
Really?
that house over there. Yeah.
Sandhill, the brown ones?
Yeah. I've seen like 4 or 5 at a time at that house.
There was a house on Glengarry that used to feed them, and there were always 2 or 3 of them standing in their front yard.
That's the house, I think. The one with the
Yeah.
pillars in the front that have the lights at the top.
Oh, okay. Well, the first one I'd seen, so I was just amazed. Obviously they don't hang around the main body of the lake because I've never seen them counted on any of our bird counts, but okay, good. Well, we'll add one to the list.
There you go.
That is the witching hour of 9 o'clock. That is all I have. Does anybody have, Bob couldn't make it today, so we have no village liaison report unless Kathy's husband is still within earshot.
No, I don't think there's anything good to update you guys on.
Nothing good,
Nothing good.
just bad stuff.
The police boat's fixed. That's all I know.
We got planning commission.
Surprisingly, it was canceled this last month. So,
Mr. Planner.
yeah, after we nixed the gas station.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, traffic was a dead stop on Glengarry because of the traffic going into the Dairy Twist.
That can be a hazard.
You need to do something about it.
I'm working on it. I'm trying to cut down to 3 days a week.
Literally, they had 2 kids there that weren't even of driving age trying to direct traffic in there, and it was a mess. So
yeah,
actually was kind of dangerous.
Yeah,
that's not really your issue.
Unless they fall in the lake.
All right. Any comments from the board members?
I'm good.
Long day. Nothing. Then we need a movement for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We need.
All right.
We don't need to roll call that.
I think we need a roll call.
Oh my God. Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Sargent,
Yes.
Hurst.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for everybody's participation.
Thank you. Good meeting.